All right. I can see our numbers are starting to level out here. A couple people trickling in, which is great. Just want to tell everybody hello again. I'm Charlie Holman. I work here at Deepwatch in the marketing department. And I can't begin to tell you how excited we are here to everyone to experience that Dassana is now Deepwatch. We're so thrilled to have Dassana a part of the Deepwatch family. So before we get started, a couple of housekeeping items. We hope that you guys have questions and we want to give you answers, and we're happy to answer them at the end of today's presentation. So feel free to enter them into the Q&A box, and we'll get them towards the end of today's webinar. So let's go ahead and get into it. And I want to introduce to you our speakers today. First off, we have Anand Ramanathan. He's the Chief Product Officer here at Deepwatch. And we have Kaushik Devareddy, the Senior Product Manager here at Deepwatch, formerly of Dassana. And he's going to give us a glimpse into Dassana with a little bit of a demo. So with that, Anand, I'm going to hand it off to you and get you guys going.
Thank you, Charlie. Are you sharing the deck? Perfect. Awesome. Welcome, everyone. It's great to have you here, and a special warm welcome to our customers who are already working with Deepwatch. We know you have a busy schedule, so truly appreciate your attendance live here on today's webinar. We are excited for this session around Dassana is Deepwatch. Today, we are unveiling how this acquisition strengthens our mission to deliver the security outcomes for you. Hopefully, you had a chance to read through some of our company announcements. On this call, we will plan to dive deep and show the Dassana product in more detail. But before I do that, just a bit of introductions. My name is Anand. I'm the Chief Product Officer here. I lead the product organization and have been with multiple cyber companies in my past life. And as Charlie mentioned, we are excited to have Kaushik, who has led many of the innovations at Dassana, and he's joining us as a Senior Product Manager. From an agenda standpoint, as you see on this slide, we have a fair amount of content, in fact, to show you how our combined solutions can benefit your organizations. We'll start with a brief introduction to Deepwatch, highlighting who we are, what we do, provide a bit of an overview of what we see in the current market, the challenges that we hear from our customers, to set the context for why Deepwatch plus Dassana provides us a compelling solution advantage. Obviously, I know you are all here to learn more about Dassana, the details of the integration, showcasing kind of how our combined capabilities will deliver those enhanced security outcomes I mentioned. Kaushik is itching to kind of provide a demo of the solution in action so that you get to see in real life how our customers are using the product. And as Charlie mentioned, we will wrap with a Q&A session and answer questions that you have for us. Okay, to go to the next slide, you know us as your MDR provider. We are helping you, your security teams, address the potential threats you see in your environments. You see this every day, our ever-evolving threat landscape. You are facing, relentless attacks, overwhelming alerts, shortage of talent. And that's where we have partnered with you on our MDR offerings. As we continue to move forward and expand our offerings, you'll hear this kind of new positioning of our platform as an AI plus human cyber resilience platform. We believe a powerful combination of technology and experts helps us detect, investigate, and respond to threats in much better time, thereby reducing your risk and strengthening your cyber resilience. But as we move forward, our platform is going to go beyond just detection and automation. We're constantly innovating. Charlie, you can stay on the previous slide if you're okay with that. We're constantly innovating to ensure that you get even faster detections. And as we engage with you through our EBRs, we'll share with you the full innovation roadmap that we have. But in today's webinar, we'll spend time on how the addition of Dassana's product will make it even easier for you to reduce risk and respond with confidence. Okay, We believe strongly that at Deepwatch, it is our responsibility to help you stay ahead of threats. And that's kind of what our platform innovation and evolution is all about. Okay. So let's go to the next slide and talk a little bit about our current platform. As your trusted MDR provider, many of you on the call, you see these ongoing deliverables from our MDR. Let's talk a little bit about those components that you see on the slide that sets it apart and allows you to trust us with strengthening your cyber resilience. I always think at the core of any approach is you, right? Your environment, your risk profile. So we start by doing everything on behalf of our customers and what your objectives are and what you're looking to do. And then being able to provide a whole series of threat management capabilities to help you get to those security outcomes that you see on the right-hand side. You know that as your managed service provider, you manage many critical security tools for you, such as EDR and firewalls and vulnerability management to ensure that your security policies and controls are aligned with your risk tolerance. That's a whole series of things that we do from a detection standpoint. The dynamic risk scoring, or DRS, as many of you know, not only generate alerts, but gives you more context. We have a tremendous number of exciting developments coming in this area, but we'll reserve that for another session, and maybe an EBR where we can spend more time with you. You know that we do a lot of investigation. We take active response on the threats that are impacting you, coordinating it with your security teams. And then we have a whole series of things that we are fundamentally curating threat intelligence around to make sure that we are prioritizing all this. But none of this works in isolation. And this is where our Deepwatch security experts come in. Our elite team works 24/7, 365, not only ensure that we're keeping you safe, but giving you the transparency, giving you the deep engagement, and giving you the insights you need to help secure your environments. And all this manifests itself inside our security center product, which is where you as a customer can experience all the visibility into what our various services provide. And last but not the least, everything is done with an outcome in mind so that we provide you with an improved security posture. Okay, let's take a moment as we kind of go to the next slide on what is the threat landscape that the market landscape that we are seeing, so that you can place the Dassana acquisition in context. As you know, the security operations functions within your organization looks like there's a bit of echo from what I understand. So just give me a second to kind of fix a few things here to help improve the audio for all of you in the audience. Okay. Hopefully things are a bit better. If anybody on the Deepwatch side can confirm that, that will be helpful. Yeah, thanks. Okay, apologies for that audio issue there. Okay, as I was talking about, the security operations function is undergoing transformation, right? And these are some, graphics from a set of Gartner reports to illustrate what the industry pundits are seeing. One of the things that we have been seeing from and hearing from our customers is this rise of threat exposure management as a product category, right? As you continue to have more cyber threats, as these cyber threats become sophisticated, what we are hearing from many of you is how you are approaching security. There's a growing recognition that, yes, you need detection, you need response, but proactive measures are as critical as the reactive things that we do to focus, right? And you need a proactive platform that can prioritize the various risks that you see in your organization and enable appropriate responses to that, right? And this is fundamentally the market context that we kind of thought about, and we said, okay, then we need to expand our capabilities to address some of the requirements that we're seeing from the customer. And that's what led us to kind of actually start talking to potential partners in the security ecosystem. That brought us to Dassana. We started talking, and as we continued our discussion, we realized that bringing the product into the Deepwatch portfolio allows us to provide a much better integrated approach to our customers. And that's kind of what was the context and basis for why we went ahead with this particular acquisition. If we go to the next slide, we discussed a little bit about some of our offerings that we provide as part of the MDR platform. As I mentioned, the core at the end of the day is your IT environment, your security environment. And as you know, we gather data from a whole series of your systems, your enterprise assets, like your endpoint, like your network platforms, your cloud assets, as well as your identity. As you know, we manage all of this within multiple SIM platforms to collect your logs and be able to do detection and response on top of that. We use cloud for many of what our customers today, whether it's in the cloud, whether it's on-prem, that's what we do. You are very familiar with many of these offerings. We manage the security policies. We provide detection coverage. We do a tremendous amount of investigations to highlight the ones that really matter to you, and then we respond. Right. Just click to the next slide, or click next. The combination of Deepwatch and Dassana now provides us multiple additional offerings. Data exposure management, where we identify appropriate gaps in your environment. The proactive, risk reduction that allows us to correlate data across multiple tools, as well as then a set of insights, which are then used by our customers to even report to the board on the security posture and provide effectiveness of the security tooling that they have in their environment. You'll see that we will get into each of these use cases a lot more into detail in the demo coming up. Let's talk about, if you go to the next slide, why is this a complex problem for many customers, right? Obviously, as a CISO, as a security leader in your organization, you have invested in a variety of tools. And each of these tools provide a number of necessary controls. We hear from many of our customers that they have anywhere from 30 to 300 tools. The challenge that our customers are facing as a result is you have all these tools creating their own data puddles. And the biggest challenge is then to understand what is the material risk that you have across all this tooling that provide or produce millions of alerts, and how do you identify what are the top priorities? And that gets even more complicated where you have distributed environments, not just from assets in the cloud, but even in your distributed employee base that's all over the world, all over the globe, working at home, all those things where multiple teams are then required to be involved. And often that results in missed SLAs or unable to solve the problem in the time frame that you would like to. Right? And at the same time, we are hearing from many of our customers that CISOs have to report to the board on what controls are effective. More and more of these SEC mandates are requiring you to be providing, additional visibility into the effectiveness of the controls that you have in place. And these are challenges that are making it far more complex for our customers. If we go to the next slide, right, we talked a little bit about the data puddle challenge, right? And this is just a brief overview of the various products that we see most commonly within our customers, right? You got data coming out of your infrastructure, your host, your network, your user, your endpoints, your applications, right? And each of these means that you have invested in a particular tool to help secure that environment. That creates its own data, right? Many of you have invested in a SIM, and a SIM does capture many data sources, but we often find that it doesn't capture all the data sources that you need to be able to answer those high-level questions that you are looking to answer. And unfortunately, they don't even talk to each other, which makes it incredibly difficult to get a unified view of the security posture. That's kind of what we have been talking about, calling the data puddle problem. What we see is this is what Dassana was built for and excels at. By first connecting to many of these security tools and extracting the right data. We'll talk a little bit about the App Store, where Dassana has built pre-built integrations with many of the security solutions, from VMs or vulnerability management solutions to EDRs to cloud providers to cloud security. These integrations make it easy for our customers to get started and extracting those key insights that you are looking for. Go to the next slide. You will see that on this slide, some of the sample customers that Dassana has been already working with. These are the customers who we can share publicly. You've seen some quotes from them in our press release. You've seen some, even videos from them that are on the Dassana website. The reason we provide these custom names is to show that we are deployed in many of these customer environments. And as we speak to the CISO of Dassana customers and frankly the Deepwatch customers, we saw some aligned questions that often we were getting on a consistent basis. And the three questions that we heard consistently were, what part of my business poses the greatest material risk for me? Moving to a more proactive stance, how do I kind of reduce these incidents more proactively? And then finally, how do I demonstrate that our security controls are actually doing their job and are effective in my environment? And as I mentioned, this data puddle challenge, where many of these tools are in their silos, what seems like relatively simple questions becomes incredibly complex. Okay? But so much for the talking. Let's actually see the product in action, where we can walk you through real customer examples where we have answered these questions. And so with that, let me turn it over to Kaushik, who will actually walk you through the product.
Thanks, Anand. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Cool. Hope everybody can see all right. There are a million things Dassana can do, but unfortunately, we're limited to this 1 hour slot. So we're going to be really focused on helping answer those three questions that Anand laid out. Just as a reminder, we're going to look at what part of my business poses the greatest material risk, how do I reduce those incidents proactively, and how do I demonstrate that my security controls are effective? Before we answer those questions, we need the data to answer those questions. And so for that, Dassana has built the App Store that Anand has alluded to bring in all of your popular security tools into this single cohesive data mesh. As part of this demo, I've plugged in 3 tools, streaming in telemetry from some demo infrastructure. We've got an EDR tool, Vuln Scanner, CSPM, CNAPP tool, but Dassana has support for code security, data security, SAST, SCA, DAST, Cloud Platform, CMDBs, you name it. We've got support for tools in pretty much every category and are expanding that list almost every day. So to show you how easy it is to plug in a tool and get started with Dassana, I'm going to go ahead and click on a data security tool that's popular amongst our customers called Cyera. It's as simple as naming the tool, pasting your API key, and hitting save. That's it. A lot of our customers do POCs, setting up the platform within 10, 15 minutes, grabbing their keys and pasting them into Dassana. Within 24 hours, all of the data will have flown in, and the different use cases I'm about to demo to you today will be available. So super quick value you can get right off the bat. Great, so now that we've got some data in, the first question we're going to answer is, how do I reduce my incidents proactively? There's a lot of different pieces you can look at here, but the number one thing most CISOs are focused on is, are my tools deployed everywhere I want them to be? So if a threat appears, I can be sure that a scanner or my EDR tool can pick this up and alert me. Oftentimes, CISOs find there's blind spots in the environment that nobody in the team knows about. And so here in this example, you'll see a Venn diagram of the server infrastructure that I've brought in. You can see the various tools that I've plugged in, like my AWS inventory, CrowdStrike, Tenable, and Wiz. Now, anytime you see a gap, excuse me, in this Venn diagram, that's a blind spot that I may not have known about. So let's go ahead and focus on this gap of 20 assets over here. These are 20 assets that Wiz is scanning, but my agent-based tools like CrowdStrike and Tenable are not reporting on. So say someone opens a shell on this asset, because Wiz is primarily a side scanner, I may not get alerted about it. Or a new zero-day drops on this asset, my Tenable agent may not be scanning for it. And it looks here on the side that 2 of these assets are also business critical, which is some information that Dassana is able to ingest as part of the platform. Unlike other solutions on the market, Dassana also keeps a record of assets over time. So you can see here we're looking at live infrastructure, but I'm also able to look at what assets existed in the past. Say you want to do an investigation on an asset that's now terminated, but someone was able to abuse. All of that data is tracked within the Dassana platform. So here I can see 64 assets that had a blind spot are now terminated, but I can investigate those details if I wanted to. Let's go ahead and open one of them up here as a sample. You can see this asset is deleted, but it was internet connected in the past and had a blind spot. So that's some useful information for me. And again, we have a bunch of raw data available at my fingertips if I wanted to further search on that down here. So that was a quick sample of the asset management module. Really, customers are using it today to identify blind spots in their environment. This is not limited to server infrastructure. We have customers using it to say, hey, I'm in the health insurance industry. I want to ensure that all of my patient data stores are being scanned on a regular basis. Are there any data stores I have that are misconfigured and are not being scanned or being scanned for patient data, but I'm not sure, are they public or not? What's the access controls on them look like? All of that is available within this module. Great. So now that I've got a handle on the blind spots in my environment, I've deployed all my scanners where I want them to be. These scanners are, producing thousands and thousands of alerts, risks, incidents all the time. How do I know what to fix first? What I need to focus my attention on? In this example here, you'll see with just these 3 sample tools deployed on some small demo infrastructure, I have hundreds of thousands of alerts. We have customers, large enterprises, you saw logos like Snowflake, where this stretches into the 30s and 50s of millions of vulnerabilities. How do their teams start to understand what are the needles in the haystack? What is the greatest risk I need to focus on today? Dassana makes that super easy, and let's run through a few examples. Let's start by looking at host vulnerabilities. I have about 160,000 here. Dassana brings in external threat intelligence, starting with basic stuff like what's patchable, what's exploitable, what's part of known frameworks like CISO. We also have support for EPSS coming very soon. And then I can layer in some asset intelligence, like what's internet reachable, is the identity on the asset misconfigured, as well as what business unit does that asset belong to. All of that filters into this asset criticality dimension on this diamond grid here. And I can find these 6 needles in the haystack with just a few clicks. So we've burned that number down from 150,000 down to just 6. And we're seeing that in real customer environments today where they're able to go from 30 to 50 million down to single digit numbers, which is really fascinating for a lot of people. Again, just like assets, for these different risks, we track the full life cycle of all of them. So let me go ahead and show you another example where we can look at not just open vulnerabilities, but also investigate risks that occurred in the past. So here, let's go ahead and pivot, turn this off, and we can also look at some dev infrastructure as Dassana brings in some of that business context. I'm going to go ahead and pick on a random swatch of risks here. And then let's go ahead and open this up, and you'll start to see all of the asset intelligence that Dassana brings in for a single risk. So here, this asset has been deleted, and although it was reported originally by Wiz, we also stitched together asset data from Tenable as well as Azure metadata, which all is available down here. This is the magic of Dassana's platform. As you start to add more and more tools, the context starts to accumulate and helps you better prioritize your risks. I add in a data security tool here, it may tell me, hey, this asset can access sensitive data. I add in a code security tool, it may tell me, hey, where in the build pipeline was this risk introduced? As you add in more tools, the value of Dassana begins to increase. Now I'll quickly go over one more really common use case. Let's go ahead and reset all the filters and start back from scratch, where we have that 160,000 risks view. And then I'm going to hone in on my Wiz vulnerabilities. Wiz is telling me, hey, you have a bunch of CVEs, and I'm struggling to figure out which ones I need to fix first. Well, if you ask somebody with this list, they may ask you, hey, which of these are actively being exploited today? Not out in the wild, but in my own environment. For that, I have CrowdStrike. Why don't we join that data together and look for toxic combinations? Dassana enables these data joins between tools. And all of a sudden, I found 28 risks where the same host, which has a Wiz CVE, also has an open CrowdStrike detection. Perhaps somebody opened a shell on this box. I need to focus on that right away. Already, security teams are using the Dassana findings module and connecting it with Jira, ticketing systems like Jira, to ticket out to appropriate engineering teams. So this becomes an automated process. You can set up filters. Anytime risks come in and match those filters, you can ticket that out to the appropriate engineering team. So this becomes an autonomous threat and vulnerability management process. So that was a quick summary of the findings module. I know we're getting some questions roll in, but I'm going to answer that at the end so that we can kind of get through all the material first. Cool, so we've done all this great work. So far we've identified the blind spots in my environment so we can get more proactive about security. We found the needles in the haystack and we're fixing them. So we're fixing the most material risks that matter to my business. Well, this is great and all, but as a CISO, maybe how do I communicate that we're doing all this great work to our stakeholders? How do I measure myself and my teams to the standards and hold ourselves accountable? For that, Dassana has built an insights module where you can start to uncover patterns, visualize trends, and start to really build these insights that can be communicated to everybody outside of the security team. So here's a sample board metrics report that some of our customers like to use, and it makes measuring the security program really bite-sized and easy for anybody to understand. We've seen this presented to boards at the private equity level as well as the public company level. There's 4 simple measures here. 1, what's my current threat exposure of my environment today? 2, what's my threat readiness? What's my readiness to handle future threats as and when they appear? 3, compliance. According to popular risk frameworks like NIST 800, what's the compliance of the assets in my production infrastructure? And then 4, how effective has my security program been with handling risks in the past? Looking at measures like vulnerability dwell time, for example. Now, none of these numbers mean anything if you can't explain how they actually came about. So let's go ahead and click on the threat readiness, for example. This looks at 4 different measures, which are highly customizable. I chose these 4 measures to roll up into threat readiness, and I'll show you how we do that in just a minute. But I chose 4 measures, 1 looking at asset ownership. If we have a good idea of who owns the asset, we know that who's neck to choke when a risk appears on that asset, who to hold accountable. If we don't know who owns the asset, it's going to be a struggle to patch that or remediate that risk on time. 2 is just the coverage of my tools across those assets. I can't fix what I don't know about. So if tools aren't deployed on them, I can't know about a threat, as and when it appears. And then 3, looking at some technology debt. Looks like we have some work to do when it comes to patching end-of-life infrastructure in the future. And I can assign weights to all of these measures, so it bubbles up into a score that we and the stakeholders can agree on. We were hearing from customers that they were doing a lot of DIY metrics and insights building, in internal projects, or they went on the market looking for kind of security scoring and insights products, but they were really frustrated with how rigid those products were. Every product had its own way of measuring things, and they wanted to communicate certain things in their own way. And to address that, Dassana has built a very, very customizable insights module. You can almost think of it like a Tableau built from the ground up specifically for the security persona. You can visualize things in any way that you'd like and build queries using our visual query builder. If your team is technical, like some of our large enterprise customers, you can write full-blown SQL to explore all of your data. Dassana brings all the raw data from your tools and meshes that together and exposes the SQL interface. So we have customers who write 100-line SQL queries to get really, really specific about what they want to measure. All of that flexibility is available within the Dassana platform and really sets us apart from anything really else on the market. Cool. So in summary, what you've seen today is answering use cases that answer 3 questions. Now, what are the greatest material risks I have in my business today? How do I get more proactive about security in the future? And then how do I measure all of this, tie it together, and hold myself accountable to the security controls that matter to me and my organization? So with that, I'll kind of conclude this abbreviated demo, and then pass it back to Anand, and then we can start to answer some questions.
All right, I think we lost Anand for a second. He's going to join back on. I am going to start with some questions, and then we can come back around. And once Anand gets joined back on, he can finish us out. So Kaushik, I'm going to throw some questions your way,
Sure.
and hopefully you can answer these. I have no doubt that you won't have an issue with it. So, what is the plan for future integrations?
Yeah, great question. So as I mentioned today, we already support tools across every category, whether that be CNAPP, EDR, VM, data security. And now we're working on expanding into the depth of those integrations, so supporting every single tool. For example, some popular connectors that are very close to, on our roadmap next include things like Exonius and SentinelOne. But we'd love to hear from our customers and future customers what integrations they'd like to see. We've developed a ton, have gotten really good at building them fast.
Awesome. Anand, you're back on. I'm going to share the presentation again so that you can finish us out here.
Yeah, sorry about those technical problems. I just wanted to quickly recap kind of the benefits to our customers from this Deepwatch plus Dassana platform, rather, right? We talked a little bit about proactive risk management, right? This concept that cyber risk is no longer about just reacting to threats, but about staying ahead of them. And what we believe is this combined platform allows our customers to continuously discover and prioritize those security exposures, right? Fundamentally being able to mitigate the risk even before it becomes a problem. As you very well know, in security, visibility is everything. And we believe that Deepwatch, along with the Dassana product, gives you deeper insights, more actionable insights, some of the customizable dashboards that Kaushik talked about, along with some of our pre-built integration, allows you to have a tailored view of your security landscape and not have to kind of do all the work to stitch together multiple security tools. Obviously, we're working towards a unified security experience. You have Security Center, which is one of our key Deepwatch MDR tools, and we will align, obviously, our Security Center tool along with the Dassana product to provide you with an even more seamless experience. And finally, all of you have budget constraints, so we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to maximize your security investment here. So one of the things we want to do with our customers is being able to do that proof of value. And so we are offering a 30-day free proof of value to our customers so that you can see some of the capabilities that Kaushik showed in action in your environment. And as Kaushik referred to, we can get started on these things very, very quickly. And many of our customers not only see same-day deployment, but often see results same day, if not within 24 hours. And we do have some introductory pricing that we want to make available to our customers. So please do work with your Deepwatch representative to explore what might best work within your organization. Okay. With that, I know we're already going to questions, Charlie. So let's continue those questions that you already kind of initiated with Kaushik.
All right. So second question we have here is, what scale has this been deployed at?
Yeah, great question. So, you saw some of those logos there. These are some of the largest kind of technology companies in the world, and we were able to deploy with them seamlessly. So, I have a lot of confidence in the technology and scale that Dassana brings, given our past deployments.
Awesome. All right. Next question. How quickly can you show value after initial deployment?
Yeah, so we showed how easy it was to get set up and plug in your tools, just by pasting API keys. Really depends on the scale and size of your environment. Our data pipelines have to bring in all that juicy raw data and mesh that together. Oftentimes, for small to medium enterprises, that could be, just a few hours where you start to see those different panels light up. For really, really large enterprises like your Fortune 500s, that could be an overnight data pull, so up to 24 hours.
That is awesome. Wonderful. All right. Next question. Is there an integration with Jira to craft metrics off Jira tickets not coming from Deepwatch or security tool natively?
Yeah, so we have an integration to push data out to Jira. Ingesting existing Jira data is on our roadmap. And Charlie, I see one more question about how many Dassana team members are joining the Deepwatch team. All of us are really proud that to be joining the Deepwatch team. So it's the entire Dassana expertise that's now joined the Deepwatch family.
We're so happy to have you guys. All right, so what he's saying, 15 minutes to deploy. Is that the average amount of time to stand up?
Yeah, so it's how fast can you paste in your API keys? That's really how fast it is to set up the tool.
Good deal. On it, I don't know if you see any of these questions you want to take here in the box.
Yeah, so I do see a question here about bringing Dassana into the Deepwatch portal so that customers have, for lack of a better word, a single pane of glass. And the answer is absolutely. It's been a week and a half since, the Dassana team is officially part of Deepwatch. And I can tell you that Kaushik and other members of the product team on the Dassana side, as well as many of the product team members on the Deepwatch side, are earnestly at work to craft a roadmap on bringing a seamless experience to our customers. We do believe that it's a very high priority for us. So as we kind of engage with you, you will continue to hear, the progress that we are making across those plans. The good thing is many of the architectures that the Dassana team uses and the architecture that we have on the Deepwatch team are extremely well aligned from both the UI and the backend. And so we expect that, those integrations are going to be quite valuable for our customers and be available quickly.
I think and I knew you touched on it earlier over pricing, and I think we've got a couple of questions here that kind of touch on that.
Yeah, the best way to think about pricing is to think about it as kind of new modules that we are offering on top of the Deepwatch NDR platform. If you recall, one of the slides showed that there are 3 new product offerings that are being added into the overarching portfolio of offerings that we offer as Deepwatch. So think about Dassana as kind of a module on top of the platform, and the pricing will be accordingly priced for our current customers.
All right. I see a couple more here. Qualys integration.
Kaushik, you want to take that?
Yeah. So we do have an active Qualys integration today used by some of those large customers that you saw on the slide. We support multiple Qualys modules like VMDR, Qualys PC. We pull all of your Qualys assets with, starting to think about total cloud in the future as well. So we have a battle-tested Qualys integration ready to go for you.
I don't think we have any more, unless anybody wants to throw any more in the Q&A chat. We can sit here for a second. Is there any closing? Anybody want to add anything else in here as we come to a close?
No, I just want to thank our customers again and all the participants on the call. I know that lots of questions about the recording available. I think we will make the recording available, right, Charlie?
Yes.
You are participants, so yes, we will make that available. And once again, we thank you for your time and your attention, and look forward to engaging with you on this new offering.
Absolutely. We are so thankful that you guys took your time out of the day to listen to us. And with that being said, we're going to bring this webinar to a close. We thank you for your time today. We hope that you guys have a great rest of the week. And if you have any more questions, or if you want to reach out to us, please reach out to your CSM or go to our website. You can contact us there.